Well, just in time for the holiday weekend, a new law is in effect that could make getting to your destination a little easier. The law is designed to target drivers who hold up traffic in the left lane. If they are going under the speed limit and won't let faster drivers around, the slower driver could face a fine of up to $500. But as Sarah Whitmire reports, legal experts say the new law will be nearly impossible to enforce.
You've probably been in this situation. You're driving down the highway, going the speed limit, and a car comes up racing behind you.
They're coming up. So instead of trying to block that guy or whatever to slow him down or do your part, what you need to do is go ahead and get over and let that person through. They're going to get ticketed for speeding anyway.
And if you don't pull over to let that person through, you could get a ticket too.
If you're in the left lane, you need to be passing or overtaking a vehicle. If you're not, then you need to be back in the right lane.
Indiana's new law is intended to make roads safer and keep traffic flowing. You've probably seen the signs, keep right except to pass. Indiana State Police Sergeant Kurt Durnall says the new law just gives teeth to that existing statute.
There's two lanes there for a reason, and it's for the flow of traffic. And I've talked to an engineer, a highway engineer, about that, and what his example was to me is if we wanted people just to stay at the same speed the entire time and nobody move like this, we would just have one lane.
Nick Sela drives State Route 37 to Indianapolis a lot, and he says traffic jams are a usual occurrence because one slow driver can grind things to a halt.
It's not a three-lane highway, so usually the trucks have to stay in the right lane because they have to go the speed limit. And since the posted speed limit's 70, that means realistically you can go 78 or 79 and not get pulled over. So when people go somewhere in between there, it's usually a problem.
The law applies to drivers who, quote, reasonably know a car behind them is trying to pass and they still don't get over. IU law professor Timothy Morrison says that phrase, reasonably know, could make it difficult for police to enforce the law.
Well, maybe the person comes up behind and honks the horn and you flash your lights or turn around and gesture or something to that individual. Well, then you know that the person knows you're behind. But if there's no such action like that, you may not fall under the statute.
State Senator Karen Talion calls the new law a solution in search of problems.
It's almost impossible to figure out how this bill would be enforced. You know, an officer happens to be sitting on the side of the road and sees the guy doing 90 behind you honking, and he's going to arrest the guy in the front.
But Sergeant Kurt Durnall says it won't work like that.
This left lane law is not about speed. It's not about speeding. Speeding is its own Indiana code.
The person going 90 will still get a ticket for speeding. And if you knowingly try to stop him or hold him back by staying in the left lane, you would be committing a violation too. But that's not a violation police can observe from the side of the road.
If an officer is sitting there with a radar gun and a whole bunch of vehicles are going by the highway and he's hitting the radar gun and he finds one that's going too fast, then at that moment in time, he can make that assessment. But this isn't like that because you're not going to be able to tell that somebody's come up on behind somebody from a fixed point because this is something that's going on down the highway.
So police will have to be out patrolling and observe the slow driver over a period of time, maybe a mile or 2 or 3. Police won't enforce the law during bad weather when there's heavy traffic or when drivers are exiting to the left, paying tolls, or pulling over an emergency vehicle. Violators could face a hefty fine if they're stopped. Of course, officers can issue a warning, but they can also issue a citation for up to $500.
The left lane law makes several other changes to motor vehicle law as well. It requires motorists to call 911 after a collision resulting in injury or death, and it raises the penalty for reckless driving resulting in bodily injury to a Class A misdemeanor.